Look, the 25th Amendment, which everybody's talking about, is all about continuity in office and the stability of the government. And the first provision is about what happens if the presidency is vacant. The second provision is about what happens if the vice presidency is vacant. The third provision I think of is the colonoscopy provision, because it says that the president can voluntarily, temporarily turn over power. But the fourth provision is the one everybody's talking about. Section 4 is about what happens if the president is unable, for physical reasons or mental or cognitive reasons.
Or mental or cognitive. Let's emphasize that piece.
What if the president cannot satisfy the duties of the office and discharge the powers and duties of office? And it says the vice president and a majority of the cabinet can act to transfer the powers to the vice president. Everybody seems to know that. But there's another little known part which says, or the vice president and a body set up by Congress can make the same judgment. And since 1967, Congress has never set up the other body called for by the Constitution in the 20th.
What's up, people? Welcome to Dr. John Podcast. So what is happening right now? The House is moving on impeachment with 220 co-sponsors already locked in, a guaranteed majority. The vote is coming within days. Simultaneously, 38 senators are invoking the 25th Amendment, declaring Trump too unstable and dangerous to wait for a Senate trial.
Everyone, we are here with the esteemed ranking member of our Judiciary Committee, the great constitutional scholar, Jamie Raskin, who is the congressman for Maryland. And today you filed a bill that many of us co-sponsored. Tell us a little bit about this bill.
And thank you for joining me, Congresswoman Stansbury. Hello to my friends in New Mexico and everywhere across the country. Look, the 25th Amendment, which everybody's talking about, is all about continuity in office and the stability of the government. And the first provision is about what happens if the presidency is vacant. The second provision is about what happens if the vice presidency is vacant. The third provision I think of is the colonoscopy provision, because it says that the president can voluntarily, temporarily turn over power. But the fourth provision is the one everybody's talking about.
They want him out now. Two parallel tracks, both aimed at the same destination, the end of this presidency. McConnell has abandoned the pretense of defense. McConnell is not standing beside Trump. McConnell is not marshaling loyalists to protect the president. Instead, McConnell is delivering the brutal truth directly. He is telling Trump that his time has expired. He is telling Trump there is no survival path through this.
Section 4 is about what happens if the president is unable, for physical reasons or mental or cognitive reasons.
Or mental or cognitive. Let's emphasize that piece.
What if the president cannot satisfy the duties of the office and discharge the powers and duties of office? And it says the vice president and a majority of the cabinet can act to transfer the powers to the vice president. Everybody seems to know that. But there's another little known part which says, or the vice president and a body set up by Congress can make the same judgment. And since 1967, Congress has never set up the other body called for by the Constitution in the 25th Amendment. And so we're setting that body up.
And I just want to emphasize that this is really about Congress asserting its constitutional authority. The 25th Amendment was established after JFK died. It set up and clarified the line of succession if a president is incapacitated. Many of us feel like he is incapacitated in the present moment, but it's not clear what happens if the president contests a vice president or cabinets.
He is telling Trump that the only remaining escape from the humiliation of impeachment and conviction is to resign immediately. The message from the most powerful Republican in the Senate is unambiguous. Step down or be destroyed by the constitutional machinery that is already in motion. And how is Trump responding to all of this? He is melting down in the most public and unhinged way imaginable.
Call on him to step down, and this is really about Congress asserting our authority under the 25th Amendment and saying we'll create a bipartisan body that will ultimately make that determination. It would require a cognitive test. What else would it require?
Right. Well, let me just add one detail, Melanie, to what you just said, because under the 25th Amendment, if the vice president and a majority of the cabinet act, or the vice president and a majority of our new body act, still the president can say, no, everything's fine, and would need to be overruled by a 2/3 vote of the House and the Senate. So it's not a perfect arrangement for our situation if people are going to act with their partisan blinders on. But the new body at least would interpose some objectivity. It would be composed of doctors, psychiatrists, cognitive scientists, but also veterans of the executive branch of government former presidents, vice
Yes.
presidents, attorneys general.
Trump has taken to his social media platform and is posting obsessively. 127 posts in 3 hours. 127. That is not normal behavior. That is not strategic communication. That is a complete psychological unraveling happening in full view of the entire world. He is posting threats. He is posting conspiracy theories. He is posting unhinged rants that grow more disconnected from reality with each passing minute.
Secretaries of Defense, Treasury, Surgeon Generals, and so on. So it calls for those people to be able to meet in the event of a real crisis. It's serious business. This is not just for Donald Trump. This is a permanent standing body that should have been set up long ago so we can rectify that oversight and also deal with a very serious crisis as that people are flipping out all over the country, as you know, about Trump, pretending to be Jesus Christ in his little online renderings, attacking the Pope, going to war without any congressional consent or authorization, engaging in crazed fulminations, profanity, and so on. So people are upset about it, and we need to deal with the problem.
So we're taking action right here in Congress. And thank you for your.
The sheer volume of his output is crashing the servers of the platform. He is literally breaking the technology with the force of his meltdown. And in doing so, he is providing the most compelling evidence possible that he is unfit to hold the office he is desperately trying to keep. He is proving his own unfitness with every post he publishes. The violence is escalating in parallel. Threats are pouring in against Vice President Vance from Trump's most fervent supporters. 1,200 arrests have already been made as Capitol violence spreads through Washington. The city is under a state of emergency. The Capitol is surrounded by layers of security. The country is watching its seat of government transform into a fortress because the sitting president refuses to accept that his grip on power has been broken. Trump's supporters are engaging in violence. They are threatening more violence. They are committing acts of chaos. And all of it traces directly back to Trump's refusal to step down, his refusal to accept the reality of his defeat, his refusal to do the one thing that would immediately calm the situation. Trump is causing violence through his stubbornness. Trump is demonstrating through every action that he is a danger to the nation. Trump is showing exactly why he must be removed. This is the moment. This is the devastating news that crushes what remains of his presidency. This is the end of Trump. Let me reconstruct exactly how we arrived at this breaking point, because the sequence of events is crucial to understanding the magnitude of what is happening. A federal judge transmitted evidence directly to Congress. This judge presented documentation showing that Trump has committed impeachable offenses of the highest gravity. The evidence demonstrated conduct so serious that waiting any longer became impossible. The judge essentially told Congress that the threat to democracy is active and immediate and requires an urgent response. Congress absorbed this information. Congress understood the weight of what had been placed before them. Congress began moving with the kind of speed that only constitutional crises produce. Impeachment articles were drafted without delay. Co-sponsors were gathered with remarkable speed. The count climbed rapidly until it hit 220. 220 representatives from across the country signed their names to the resolution that will impeach Trump. 220 is the majority threshold. 220 means the vote will succeed. 220 means impeachment is not a question of if, but when. 220 means the Senate will be compelled to hold a trial. 220 means the Trump presidency has reached its effective conclusion. And this is not a purely partisan exercise. Republican representatives are breaking away from Trump in numbers that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago. Tom Tillis is supporting the impeachment effort. Thomas Massie is supporting it. Other Republicans whose names carry weight inside the party are adding their voices to the call for removal. The Republican coalition is fracturing along lines that cannot be repaired. Republican representatives are concluding that party loyalty cannot override constitutional obligation. They are recognizing that country must come before party. They are choosing to vote to impeach despite the political risks because the alternative is to be complicit in whatever comes next. That Republican support transforms the impeachment from a partisan action into something far more serious. It signals that Trump's unfitness transcends ideology. It signals that the danger is real and recognized across the spectrum. McConnell understands this with absolute clarity. He can see the math as plainly as anyone. He understands that Trump will be impeached by the House. He understands that the Senate trial will end in conviction. He understands that removal is the inevitable outcome. So he has stopped pretending otherwise. He is issuing an ultimatum directly to Trump. Resign or face the full force of constitutional removal. He is telling Trump that the Republican Party will no longer serve as his shield. He is telling Trump that the game has ended and Trump has lost. Trump's response has been the meltdown we are witnessing in real time. 127 posts in 3 hours. The platform struggling to stay online under the weight of his output. Threats spilling out in every direction. Conspiracy theories multiplying. Rants that grow more unhinged with each passing hour. This is not a strategy. This is a breakdown. Trump is demonstrating instability that would be alarming in any citizen and is absolutely terrifying in a sitting president. He is demonstrating mental unfitness that cannot be ignored or explained away. He is providing the most powerful evidence for his own removal through his own behavior. Every post he makes, every rant he publishes, every threat he issues becomes another piece of evidence in the case against him. He is making the argument for his removal more effectively than any prosecutor ever could. And the violence continues to escalate in parallel with his online unraveling. Trump supporters are threatening the vice president. They are rioting in the streets of Washington. 1,200 arrests have been made and the number continues to climb. The Capitol has been transformed into a security zone. Emergency declarations are in effect. The nation is in crisis because one man refuses to accept that his presidency is over. The country is descending into chaos because Trump is clinging to power with a desperation that borders on dangerous obsession. That chaos is the final proof. That violence is the conclusive evidence. That meltdown is the undeniable demonstration that Trump must leave office immediately. This is a constitutional crisis of the highest order. This is a moment when democracy itself is fighting for survival against the desperate thrashing of a president who cannot accept defeat. This is the moment when the country collectively demands that Trump be removed before more damage is done. Now we need to understand what this devastating news actually means for Trump and for the country and for the democratic institutions that are being tested to their absolute limits. This impeachment rush signals with unmistakable clarity that Trump's time has expired. He has lost Congress. He has lost the Republican Party as a functional ally. He has lost McConnell and the leadership structure that once protected him. He has lost whatever remained of military support. He has lost public support among everyone except his most committed base. He has nothing remaining in his arsenal. He is politically finished. His presidency is effectively concluded. The only question left unanswered is whether he will be removed through the impeachment and conviction process or whether he will resign to avoid the permanent stain of being forcibly removed. But either path leads to the same destination. Trump is leaving office. He will not complete his term. He will be removed or he will resign. His presidency is over. He has been crushed by the weight of his own actions. He has been defeated by the institutions he tried to undermine. This impeachment rush also demonstrates that the 25th Amendment has become a genuinely viable option. 38 senators are calling for removal through this constitutional mechanism. The 25th Amendment exists precisely for moments like this, when a president is demonstrably unfit to discharge the duties of the office. It allows for immediate removal without the procedural timeline of an impeachment trial. It is the fastest mechanism available for extracting a dangerous president from power. The fact that 38 senators are publicly advocating for its use tells you how grave the situation has become. They are not whispering about it in private. They are not floating it as a theoretical possibility. They are demanding its invocation because they believe waiting even a few more days poses an unacceptable risk to the country. Trump's meltdown is the final piece of evidence that validates everything his critics have been saying. 127 posts in 3 hours. Servers crashing under the load of his output. Rants that grow more disconnected from reality with each passing minute. This is the behavior of someone who has lost control, not just of his political situation, but of himself. He is demonstrating instability that would disqualify anyone from any position of responsibility. He is showing the entire world that he should not be president. He is proving mental unfitness through his own actions. He is providing the justification for his removal in the most public way possible. Every post becomes a new exhibit in the case against him. Every rant becomes new testimony from the president himself, confirming that he cannot be trusted with power. He is making the case for his own removal, and he is making it far more powerfully than any opponent ever could. The violence and the chaos are the direct result of Trump's refusal to step down. This connection cannot be ignored or minimized. If Trump would simply accept that his presidency has reached its end and resign with whatever dignity he can salvage, the violence would stop. If he would acknowledge the inevitable and step aside, the chaos would subside almost immediately. But he will not do that. He is clinging to power with a ferocity that borders on pathology. He is refusing to accept defeat. He is encouraging his supporters to riot through his rhetoric and his refusal to concede. He is creating violence through his stubbornness. He is creating chaos through his refusal to accept reality. He is destabilizing the country because he cannot accept that his time is finished. And that is precisely why he must be removed immediately. That is why the 25th Amendment should be invoked. That is why he cannot be permitted to remain in office for even one additional day. Trump is a threat to the nation. Trump is dangerous in ways that are now undeniable. Trump must be removed now. This is the devastating news that ends a presidency. This is the moment when Trump loses everything he has spent years building. This is the moment when Congress moves decisively to impeach him. This is the moment when the Senate prepares to convict and remove him. This is the moment when democracy demonstrates that it can defeat authoritarianism. This is the moment when the Constitution proves its durability. This is the moment when America begins to restore itself after years of relentless assault on its institutions. Voters will remember this moment with absolute clarity. They will see Congress standing up to a president who tried to break the system. They will watch Republicans breaking with Trump despite the political risks involved. They will see McConnell issuing ultimatums that would have been unthinkable in any previous era. They will watch Trump's meltdown unfold in real time on their screens. They will see the violence and chaos that his refusal to step down has unleashed. And voters will reach the only reasonable conclusion. They will understand that Trump is unfit beyond any doubt. They will understand that removal is not just justified, but necessary. They will support the impeachment because the evidence has become overwhelming. They will demand that the Senate convict because the danger is too great to ignore. They will celebrate when Trump is finally removed from office because it will mean the system worked. Let me be absolutely unambiguous about what is happening right now. Trump is confronting the end of his presidency. He is confronting impeachment and removal. He is confronting the 25th Amendment and the very real possibility of immediate extraction from power. He is confronting the total collapse of his political support infrastructure. He is confronting the reality that he has lost everything he once controlled. And he is responding with a meltdown that proves he is unfit to be president more conclusively than any external evidence ever could. He has proven through his own behavior that he should be removed without delay. He is making the argument for his own removal through every unhinged post and every desperate rant and every refusal to accept what has already been decided. He is demonstrating that he is a danger to the country he was elected to lead. He is showing that he cannot be trusted with the powers of the presidency for even one more hour. This is the devastating defeat. This is the terminal collapse of Trump's presidency. This is the moment when democracy wins and Trump loses. And this moment will be preserved in history forever. It will be the turning point that future generations study. It will be the moment when America made a definitive choice between democracy and authoritarianism. It will be the moment when Congress demonstrated that no president is above the law. It will be the moment when Republicans chose country over party in sufficient numbers to make removal possible. It will be the moment when the Constitution was defended against its most serious domestic threat in modern history. It will be the moment when Trump was removed from office through the lawful operation of constitutional mechanisms. It will be the salvation of America in a very real sense. It will be the moment when the rule of law was restored after years of systematic erosion. This is the final act of the Trump presidency. This is the moment of his crushing and irreversible defeat. This is when he is removed from power. This is when democracy is restored to its proper functioning. This is what will unfold in the coming days as the House votes to impeach and the Senate votes to convict, and Trump is finally stripped of the office he has abused. America will then begin the long process of healing and restoration, and returning to the principles of democracy and the rule of law and genuine respect for the Constitution. That is the promise embedded in this moment. That is what awaits on the other side of this crisis. That is the future that America will create when voters and lawmakers finally unite to remove Trump from office once and for all. Understand that this devastating defeat is the culmination of months of escalating pressure that has been building relentlessly. Months of impeachment discussions, months of court losses piling up, months of judges standing up to executive overreach, months of Congress pushing for accountability through every available mechanism, months of the American people demanding that their institutions do what they were designed to do. All of that pressure has converged on this single moment. All of that momentum has reached its peak right now. All of that demand for accountability is producing this rushing impeachment and these 25th Amendment demands. This is not sudden in the sense of being unexpected. This is the inevitable result of Trump's conduct and Trump's abuse of power and Trump's sustained assault on democratic institutions. This is what happens when a president violates the Constitution repeatedly and refuses to respect the rule of law and attacks judges and tries to undermine the democratic process and refuses to accept the will of the people and rejects the decisions of the courts and ignores the authority of Congress. Eventually, the system responds. Eventually, institutions stand up and reassert their constitutional role. Eventually, the country says enough and demands that the offending president be removed. That is precisely what is happening right now. The system is responding with the full force of its constitutional authority. Institutions are standing up after years of being tested. The country is saying enough with a unified voice. Congress is demanding removal through every mechanism available. The Senate is preparing to convict. Republicans are breaking from Trump in numbers that make removal mathematically possible. McConnell is issuing ultimatums that signal the end of presidential protection. The military is watching events unfold with careful attention. The country is mobilizing around the constitutional process. And Trump is having a meltdown because he cannot accept that he has lost. He cannot accept that he is finished. He cannot accept that he must leave office and face the consequences of his actions. He is clinging to power while the country descends into preventable chaos. He is causing damage to America by his refusal to step aside. He is hurting the nation by his inability to accept defeat with any measure of grace. And that refusal is the final proof that removal is necessary. That refusal is the conclusive evidence of unfitness. That refusal is the reason the 25th Amendment must be used to extract him from power before he causes more destruction. This is the moment. This is when democracy fights back and wins decisively. This is when the Constitution is defended by the very institutions it created. This is when the separation of powers proves that it can check even the most determined executive overreach. This is when the rule of law defeats the forces of authoritarianism that have been gathering for years. This is when Trump is finally held accountable in the most definitive way possible. This is when he is finally removed from office through constitutional means. This is the crushing defeat of everything Trumpism represents. This is the victory of democratic principles over personality cult. This is the salvation of the American experiment. And it is happening right now. The impeachment vote is imminent and unstoppable. The Senate trial is coming with mathematical certainty. The conviction is approaching like a freight train with no brakes. Removal is the inevitable destination. Trump will be gone from the White House. Trump will be removed from power. Trump will no longer be president. And America will begin the essential work of healing the wounds these years have inflicted. Voters will see this moment with their own eyes. They will see Congress acting to defend the Constitution. They will see the Senate voting to uphold the rule of law. They will see Trump being removed through lawful process. They will see democracy surviving its most severe test in generations. They will see institutions proving that they can fulfill their constitutional duties even under maximum pressure. They will see that democracy actually works when citizens and lawmakers demand that it work. Voters will see that no president is above the law, no matter how much power they accumulate. Voters will see that even a president who attacks democracy itself can be removed through the constitutional tools the founders provided. And voters will celebrate this outcome. They will remember this moment for the rest of their lives. They will tell their children about the day democracy defeated authoritarianism. They will recount the moment when Trump was removed from office through the lawful operation of the system he tried to break. They will describe how America was restored to its democratic principles and its commitment to the rule of law. That is what this devastating news ultimately means. That is what this moment represents in the long arc of American history. That is what will unfold in the coming days and weeks as the process reaches its conclusion. Trump will be impeached by the House. Trump will be convicted by the Senate. Trump will be removed from office. America will be restored to its democratic foundations. Democracy will be saved from its most serious domestic threat in modern memory. The rule of law will be reestablished as the governing principle of the nation. The Constitution will be defended and its durability will be proven once again. Americans will understand that democracy survived this greatest test because the institutions held. They will understand that the system of checks and balances actually functions when citizens demand that it function. They will understand that no president is above the law, regardless of how much political power they amass. They will understand that the Constitution is worth defending with every tool it provides. They will understand that democracy is worth fighting for even when the fight seems exhausting and endless. Remember that this is about something far larger than one man. This is about the fundamental character of the nation. This is about whether America remains a democracy or descends into authoritarian rule. This is about whether the Constitution is a living document with real power or merely a historical artifact. This is about whether the rule of law applies to everyone or only to those without political influence. This is about whether institutions can defend democracy against internal threats. This is about whether voters retain the ultimate power to hold presidents accountable. This is about the future of the American experiment and whether it continues into another century. Right now, democracy is fighting back with everything it has. Democracy is standing up to Trump and the forces he represents. Democracy is saying no to authoritarianism with a unified voice. Democracy is defending the Constitution through the very processes the Constitution established. Democracy is proving that it possesses the power to remove a president who has become unfit and dangerous. That proof is the most important thing that can emerge from this crisis. That proof demonstrates that democracy is not fragile when its defenders are determined. That proof shows that the Constitution carries real force when institutions are willing to wield it. That proof confirms that no president escapes accountability forever. This is the crucial moment. This is the inflection point. This is when everything is at stake and the outcome will shape the nation for decades. This is the moment when Trump confronts his devastating and inescapable defeat. This is when the House votes to impeach without hesitation. This is when the Senate votes to convict without reservation. This is when Trump is removed from the office he has dishonored. This is when democracy is saved by the people and institutions that refuse to surrender it. This is the moment that will define American history for generations yet unborn. This is the moment that will be remembered as the turning point when authoritarianism was stopped. And it is happening right now. The countdown has begun and nothing can stop it. The impeachment vote is on the immediate horizon. The Senate trial follows directly behind it. The removal is the destination toward which everything is moving. Trump will be gone from power. Democracy will survive its ordeal. America will be restored to its founding principles. The Constitution will be defended successfully. The rule of law will prevail over lawlessness. That is the promise contained in this devastating news. That is what the crushing defeat of Trump ultimately means for the country. That is what will happen when Congress completes its constitutional duty and the Senate convicts and Trump is finally removed from office. When that moment arrives, Americans will celebrate not just the removal of one man, but the vindication of the entire democratic system. They will understand that democracy survived because enough people refused to let it die. They will understand that institutions work when people of courage make them work. They will understand that the Constitution is only as strong as the willingness to enforce it. That understanding will carry America forward through the difficult work of rebuilding. That understanding will restore faith in democratic governance after years of erosion. That understanding will prove that America is stronger than any single person who tries to break it. That understanding will demonstrate that democracy can survive even its most severe tests when its defenders refuse to yield. That understanding will be the foundation for healing and reconstruction after Trump is gone. That understanding will allow the country to move forward and restore genuine respect for the rule of law and the independence of institutions and the peaceful transfer of power. History will record this as the moment when democracy defeated authoritarianism through constitutional means. History will record this as the moment when America chose democracy over dictatorship with absolute clarity. History will record this as the moment when Trump was crushed and removed from office by the system he tried to dismantle. And that history will inspire future generations to defend democracy wherever it is threatened and protect the Constitution against anyone who tries to subvert it and stand up to authoritarianism in whatever form it assumes. This is the devastating news that ends one chapter and begins another. This is the House rushing impeachment and the 25th Amendment calls and the Senate preparing to convict. This is Trump's removal from office and the restoration of democratic governance. This is the defense of the Constitution and the salvation of the American experiment. This is what awaits on the other side of this crisis. This is the future that materializes when Trump is finally removed from power. Remember this moment with absolute clarity. Remember the House rushing to impeach. Remember the 38 senators calling for immediate removal. Remember that democracy fought back against its most determined enemy and won. This is the moment. This is the devastating news. This is the end of Trump's presidency and the beginning of America's restoration.